Xiao Jinren cheated. We were in love for 7 years, married for 4. In the end, we couldn't withstand a few words of admiration from the mistress. The day I found out he was cheating, I sat by the window until sunrise, deciding to get my revenge. She broke my marriage, so I'll break her studies and future. He betrayed my emotions, so I'll break his wealth and happiness. No one is going to come out of this unscathed. What's owed to me, I'll take it back with interest. When Xiao Jinren came downstairs, I had just looked at Lin Chin's latest post on her moments. The young girl wore a white shirt and denim skirt, her face full of youthful energy, with the caption, "Date, go." I looked up at him, wearing the same white shirt and denim jeans. Even though he was over 30, he still made the outfit look great. Clearly, they had planned their outfits together. Xiao Jinren walked over, gently ruffling my hair, smiling as he said, "I'm heading out." I can't deny that Xiao Jinren's face was the reason I was captivated back then. Especially when he smiled, so charming and gentle. Unfortunately, now it just felt ironic. I smiled back and watched him leave. It seemed like this would be our last gentle moment together. After today, he would probably be furious. Maybe, tonight would bring a storm. I had spent half a year setting things up, aiming for no one to have it easy. I smiled, but tears unexpectedly welled up in my eyes. After all, 11 years of love. I had given everything. But 6 months ago, he had betrayed me. The day I found out about Xiao Jinran's affair. It was an ordinary day. We had dinner together as usual. We always shared about our day at dinner. Since we were both so busy, we cherished those moments together. But that day, he kept spacing out. He was often replying to messages, with a smile he didn't even realize. When he replied for the 3rd time, I furrowed my brows, put down my chopsticks, and looked at him. "What are you looking at? Why are you in such a hurry to reply?" He noticed my displeasure, put away his phone, and smiled. "The project team is still working late, there's something urgent. Come on, let's eat, don't be upset." Saying that, he picked up my favorite fisheye and placed it in my bowl. "Your favorite fisheye?" I looked at him, an uneasy feeling rising in me. I knew him too well. That night, we ate, chatted, and went to bed as usual. But he didn't know, I couldn't sleep. The night was eerily quiet. I quietly picked up his phone. We trusted each other, we knew the passwords, but had never checked each other's phone. And tonight, I did something I once looked down on. I sat on the sofa in the study, flipping through his phone. The chat interface didn't show any strange contacts. But the project group chat was empty during dinner time. I scrolled through the contact list. I was still at the top. But as I scrolled, I noticed someone with a Minnie Mouse avatar. I clicked on it, but there were no chat records. Not even a greeting when they added each other as friends. I opened her moments. As I scrolled, I secretly prayed. Prayed they weren't doing anything inappropriate. Her moments were full of content, showcasing her colorful life. There were many selfies of her. She was confident, lively, and her smile was like a sunflower. Even I had to admit she was beautiful. 2 months ago, I saw Xiao Jinran's side profile, his sharp features. The caption read, "Interviewed my idol, so happy. Truly the excellent senior I've liked for so long." The photo was taken in Xiao Jinran's office. Maybe that doesn't mean much. But as I held the phone, my hand trembled. Still, I had hope. I scrolled back further and saw their picture together. The photo had many people in it, but they were standing far apart. The background was likely from the university anniversary. I remembered him telling me his alma mater invited him to give a speech. I was out of town for work and couldn't attend. I recall excitedly reminiscing about our school days with him on the phone that day. Looking back, it must have been at that anniversary event that they met. I flipped back through the photos. Some memories became clearer. The day the girl posted about a trendy restaurant, Xiao Jinren told me he was working late. The day she posted about a revolving restaurant, Xiao Jinren said he was meeting with a client. The day she posted with a dolphin, Xiao Jinren again said he was working late. Even the trendy bread he got me for praise, they had checked in at the same spot. Although there was no direct evidence of Xiao Jinren in the photos, I knew this wasn't an excuse to fool myself. I took screenshots of the photos and information. I silently put his phone back. Sitting by the window, I realized my hands and feet were already cold. I hugged myself tightly, curled up in the corner of the bay window. Tears silently dampened my cheeks. My mind was in chaos, and I could only feel a deep chill. I had loved Xiao Jinren for 11 years, been together for 7, married for 4. I thought we would always be together. We had promised each other we wouldn't drift apart. But now, maybe I defined it too early. At this moment, I hated how well I knew him. We met in our first year at a university, in the cafeteria. That day, I went to get my meal and saw the handsome guy serving food at the window. Even though he wore a mask, it couldn't hide his good looks. His eyebrows furrowed, his eyes focused on the spoon filled with food. I approached and overheard the aunt next to him scolding him. "You need to shake it, don't put too much meat, that's enough." The student serving food rolled his eyes and thanked Xiao Jinren. "Thanks, little brother." The exchange made Xiao Jinren seem even more awkward. I stood there, amused, and walked up to the window. Watching him struggle with the spoon, unable to scoop it properly, while the aunt sighed beside him. In the afternoon, we ran into each other in the library. We both reached for the same book at the same time, then looked at each other in surprise. He wasn't wearing a mask, his features clear. I thought to myself, he's really handsome. At that moment, it felt like time had stopped. In that instant, he gave the book to me, picked up another one, and walked away without saying a word. It made me feel a bit upset. After all, I was a bright and attractive girl. So I decided to go to his window for dinner, to tease him for his awkwardness. But in less than 2 hours, we ran into each other again. At the debate club meeting, we were both new members. I found out his name was Xiao Jinren. After the meeting, I saw him hurriedly leave. An idea popped into my head, and I quickly caught up with him. "Xiao Jinren." He turned to look at me, backlit, and at that moment, it felt like my heart was struck. "What is it?" His voice was magnetic. I walked up to him, smiling, with sunlight in my eyes. "Xiao Jinren, we've met 3 times today, have you heard? Meeting once is fate, but meeting 3 times is destiny." After listening, he smiled slightly, but his words weren't as pleasant. "I've never heard of it, but Lee classmate, I'm late for my part-time job. Goodbye." Then he turned and quickly left. Okay, I've flirted with a fool. But that evening, I still went to his window for dinner. He wasn't awkward like earlier. He smiled and served me food, even secretly giving me extra chicken. We shared a subtle understanding, got closer, and got to know each other better. The day we confirmed our relationship was nothing special. After the club meeting, we cleaned up the materials, and he walked me back to the dorm. At the dorm's entrance, he took out a gift from his bag, a starry bracelet. His eyes had no smile, replaced by nervousness. "Lee Nuo Yi, will you be my girlfriend?" I had never seen him so nervous, his voice trembling, even licking his lips after speaking. I smiled and nodded forcefully. Then I took the bracelet and asked him to put it on me. He took a long time, his hands trembling. That night, we hugged for a long time. Back in my dorm, I rolled around on my bed, happy that after 3 months, we finally made it official. We supported each other, trusted each other, and sweetly navigated through university life. We overcame the hurdle of breaking up after graduation, and faced the struggles of starting a business. On our wedding day, we promised each other for life, becoming the couple everyone envied. Over the years, we witnessed each other's growth, becoming successful in our respective fields. But now, under my careful nurturing, Xiao Jinren was gentle, mature, and attractive, but he was going to become someone else's prize. That night, I kept looking at the girl's selfie. I had to admit she was beautiful. She worked at the A University anniversary, had a chance to interview the outstanding alumni, and must also be an outstanding person. I tried to convince myself, maybe things weren't as bad as I thought. We had promised each other for life, for always. But the self-hypnosis failed. I've always been determined, good at making decisions. Unconsciously, the sun started rising, and warmth spread through my body. Not wanting Xiao Jinren to see me in such a messy state, I tidied up and left early. When Xiao Jinren called, I was already at the office. His voice, still sleepy, sounded sweet. "Wife, where did you go?" "I had something to do, came to the office early. I didn't wake you up." At that moment, I spoke calmly, not letting him sense anything unusual. "Okay, remember to eat. Love you, love you." We were used to saying, "I love you," on the phone, sharing everything, getting used to seeing each other early in the morning. But how did we go off track? I supported my head with both hands, absent-mindedly gripping my hair, sighing loudly. I tried to stay calm and sent the girl's photo to a contact for investigation. Life continued as usual, but Xiao Jinren's abnormal behavior never happened again. Still, I had no sense of security until I saw the girl's information. The stone in my heart finally rippled. The investigator was very thorough. The girl's details were detailed. Lin Chin, from the next city over. Both parents were teachers at a prestigious high school. She had been excellent since childhood, now in her third year of computer science at a university. She was Xiao Jinran's junior. My suspicions were confirmed. There were photos of Xiao Jinran and her at trendy restaurants, revolving restaurants, and coffee shops under his company's building. Although there were no intimate gestures, the two of them seemed harmonious in the photos. I suddenly wanted to meet this girl. Just then, my graduate supervisor invited me back for a talk and interview. The day of the talk, the supervisor and department head accompanied me, and I shared several cases with the students. It went well, and after the session, the supervisor arranged for an interview. I casually mentioned. Xiao Jinran said the reporter who interviewed him was good. So, the supervisor arranged for Lin Qin to come. She followed me throughout the session. When the teacher mentioned how sweet Xiao Jinran and I were, her face looked uncomfortable. I greeted her, then deliberately mentioned, I saw the interview you did with my husband. It was great. I look forward to this interview being even better. The girl tightened her grip on her handbag, her eyes losing the glow from the photos. The interview ended without much to note. I had dinner with the teacher and several students, and Lin Qin was among them. I didn't know why she didn't avoid me. At the dinner table, guided by me, the supervisor mentioned several times how Xiao Jinran and I won the debate competition together, and how we often attended classes together. I watched Lin Qin's face turn paler and paler. Suddenly, I felt like bullying a young girl wasn't fun anymore. That night, when I got home, Xiao Jinran was sitting on the sofa, waiting for me. He was holding his phone, and when he saw me, he eagerly walked up and said, "How was your visit to your alma mater? Why didn't you tell me about the interview?" Looks like the girl complained. I pretended not to know anything and glanced at him. The talk went well. The interview was arranged by the supervisor. "Oh, how do you know about my interview?" His smile froze for a moment. Then he casually answered, "The reporter who interviewed you is the same one who interviewed me. She added me on WeChat after interviewing me. After interviewing you, she told me we're a perfect match. She has quite the eye." I smiled and teased him. Seems like the girl didn't add me on WeChat. Guess she sees Xiao Sr. in a different light than me. At my words, he stiffened his arms around me. For a moment, he tightened his embrace and shook his head gently. "Wife, are you jealous?" "I'm happy you're jealous, but she probably added me because I'm her direct senior. You need to trust me." He rubbed his head against my neck, his intentions clear. But deep inside, I really wanted to tear everything apart and ask him why he betrayed me. But reason didn't allow it. Right now, apart from those few ambiguous photos, I had no solid proof. We've been so sweet for 11 years. He's been so good to me. So good that my parents like him even more than me, and my friends trust him. There isn't a single person around me who thinks badly of him or believes he'd cheat. If I cause a scene now, the one who will suffer the most is me. The anger inside me was like a wild horse running uncontrollably, wanting to be released, but I couldn't find an outlet. I wanted to rip the smile off his face, but in the end, all I could do was say I was tired and escape to the bathroom. That night, I woke up suddenly at dawn, looking at the person sleeping next to me, and I just wanted to stab him. I quietly took his phone and opened Lin Qin's chat again. The conversation was still blank, carefully bypassed, or maybe he just trusted that I wouldn't look at his phone. The most recent moment post was from the evening, with a happy selfie and the caption, "Feeling comforted, so happy." The previous post was from the afternoon, after the interview, with a simple caption, "Very sad." I wondered if the one comforting the girl was Xiao Jinran. Did they comfort her through voice messages or text? What did they say? My head was pounding. My heart hurt so much that my hands shook as I held the phone. Once again, I sat there in silence until the sun rose, without him knowing. The next day, I received the first draft of the girl's interview article in my email. It was actually pretty good. I replied with an, "Okay." Yesterday, neither of us mentioned adding WeChat, but the girl managed to keep her cool. However, the detective gave me a Smile account that had already added Lin Qin. Every day, I became like a voyeur, scrolling through her moments. I despised myself for it. Gradually, I became numb, indifferent, detached. The day before, her moment update was, "Looking forward to tomorrow's amusement park." The next day, I followed them like a creep. Xiao Jinran swapped his suit for a hoodie that matched the girls, and they walked a few meters ahead, holding hands, enjoying themselves. The little girl was good at acting cute. She shook Xiao Jinran's hand while sweetly looking at him, saying things I couldn't hear. She probably wanted him to ride the roller coaster with her. I thought Xiao Jinran would refuse. 8 years ago, when we went to the amusement park, I forced him onto a roller coaster, and he threw up, vowing never to ride one again. But I was wrong. He smiled and ruffled the little girl's hair before getting on with her. I watched the roller coaster speed by, hearing their screams, and repeatedly told myself I would get revenge on them. After the ride, Xiao Jinran's face was pale, his lips drained of color, but he still gently comforted the remorseful little girl. I followed them, watching them wear matching Mickey Mouse ears, watching Xiao Jinran gently wipe the ice cream off Lin Chin's lips, watching them walk hand in hand. Eventually, at some point, or after it all built up, I stood still, unable to go on. I stood there, letting the passing tourists stare, bump into me, or walk by, until a little girl, about 4 or 5, handed me a tissue. "Auntie, don't cry." I looked down at her, already blurry-eyed, and realized tears had stained my face. I took the tissue and smiled, thanking her. That smile must have been uglier than crying, and the little girl sternly criticized me. "Auntie, you're so pretty, you shouldn't cry. It doesn't look good." Yes, I'm so pretty, and Xiao Jinran truly has a conscience like a dog, and his eyes like a wolf's. I didn't want to explore why he cheated, why he broke his promises. I just wanted to detach myself. Life is long. 11 years is nothing. I'm only 30. Life isn't even half over yet. I turned and walked away. I didn't need him anymore, but there would be a price to pay. When I got home, I started to calm down. From the night I realized something was wrong with him to now, it's been half a month, and the desensitization therapy of forcing myself to watch their interactions had made enough disappointment to cancel out the sweetness and happiness of the past. I cleaned up all the assets and properties in the house. Since I studied finance, I've been managing all the investments. I plan to use the next 6 months to turn this house into a legal liability. The tough part was Xiao Jinran's company. He started his business during his graduate years. After 7 years, it was now at a critical stage, just a few rounds of financing away from going public. Yeah, in such a critical stage, he actually went and cheated, showing where that little girl stands in his heart. I didn't know if he thought through the consequences and firmly chose Lin Chin, or if he thought I would tolerate her existence and not divorce or cause a scene. The night grew deeper, and he came home, changing out of his amusement park clothes and into the suit he wore that morning. How does he switch so easily? He saw me sitting on the sofa, walked over, and hugged me. Oddly enough, his body had no other scent, but I still felt disgusted. He pulled me into his arms, tiredly talking about his busy work. In the corner where he couldn't see, my eyes were full of hatred. How could he treat me like a fool? To avoid raising suspicion, I tried to act as usual, sharing what I had done today. I casually mentioned an investment opportunity introduced by a senior. He smiled and said everything was up to me, that he trusted me. I started transferring funds and mortgaged property money under the guise of investment, and he didn't notice. The day I saw the photo of him kissing Lin Chin on the street, I hired someone to buy up a few people around Lin Chin, teaching them to seduce her into high-end spending, mingling in elite circles, and nurturing her desires and ambitions. I watched her become more materialistic, watched Xiao Jinran foot the bill, and raised her up, waiting for the day she would fall. The day I saw them entering a hotel, I cleared out all the assets in the house, heading into debt. And when Xiao Jinran didn't touch the company funds, barely having enough for his personal expenses, I made sure Lin Chin coaxed him into buying her a house, draining his money, forcing him to dip into the company's funds. Later, when I saw them moving into their new house, I planned to have Xiao Jinran ousted from the company during the final round of financing. I wanted to watch my precious investment of 7 years being stolen away. I silently did all of this, without telling anyone. We still played the role of a loving couple, keeping promises of trust, sharing, and affection, perfecting the act. Until now, when everything is about to explode, only I know the bitterness of these 6 months. The morning Xiao Jinran walked out in his white shirt and jeans, he would likely receive the divorce lawsuit and asset preservation notice by noon, while Lin Chin would also get the joint property retrieval lawsuit. Unfortunately, under my careful guidance, the property only amounts to around 10 million. After Xiao Jinran left, I went upstairs and packed all his things, finally ready to throw him out after enduring half a year. When he came home, all his belongings were piled outside, the door lock had been changed, and his fingerprints were wiped away. He impatiently rang the doorbell. I watched him on the surveillance footage. After pressing the bell, he clenched his fists in frustration, then helplessly let them drop, his good mood from the morning completely gone, replaced by anxiety. I silently watched him pace back and forth, restless. When he saw I wouldn't open the door, he took out his phone. My phone rang for a long time before I picked up. Xiao Yi, open the door, let's talk. His voice was full of defeat and pleading. I don't want to talk to you. Let the lawyer handle everything. There was silence on the other end, and I saw him slump down in front of the door, staring at his phone. Watching the man I loved for 11 years in this state still made my heart ache. I had been with him through everything, from youth to adulthood, from ignorance to maturity. I don't want a divorce. His voice was heavy. We'll see each other in court. Xiao Jinren. I hung up the phone, watching him sit there with his phone, stunned. A door apart. I lay on the bed, but another sleepless night awaited. He sat there in front of the door all night. I wonder what he was thinking. Regret? Self-blame? Or was he just angry at me? I reluctantly opened the door. When he saw me, he struggled to stand, his face full of pain. Xiao Jinren, there's nothing to talk about. You and Lin Xin have both received the notice. As for her, I'll retrieve the joint property. As for you, I'm filing for divorce, and everything will be handled by the lawyers. He reached out and grabbed my hand. Xiao Yi, let's talk. We stood facing each other for a long time, close yet so far apart. Xiao Yi, we've loved each other for 11 years. Please, can we talk? He knew I was soft-hearted. 11 years? So what? You still betrayed me. What else can you say? You know I don't tolerate any dirt in my eyes. I scoffed, but my words were still full of reluctance. Xiao Yi, he still looked at me with pain in his eyes, his once captivating appearance now dull, devoid of light. I turned to the side, signaling for him to come in. He sat on the sofa, lowering his head, too afraid to look at me. Xiao Yi, I love you. I never thought of getting a divorce. Do you believe me? I scoffed, silent, letting him ramble on. I know you can't stand anything less than perfect, and you probably won't forgive me this time. Yesterday, when I got the notice, I immediately thought about how you must have been suffering. How long have you known? How long have you been hurting? Xiao Yi, I love you. Right now, I still love you. Do you still believe me? He looked up at me, eyes full of hope. I found it so ironic. You ask me if I believe you? I don't dare to believe you. You might as well not waste the word, love. He probably found it ironic too. He laughed softly. We've loved each other for 11 years. I always believed we'd go on forever, simply but happily. Lin Xin's appearance was like a fresh fish jumping into a calm fish tank. She made the quiet waters inside me ripple. She looked up at me with admiration, said I was her idol, and brought me the kind of adoration and excitement I never experienced with you. I gradually got greedy. I told her I had a wife and would never divorce, but she still threw herself at me, saying she'd be content just seeing me whenever I had the time. Do you know, over the years, I've rejected so many people. They teased me about being whipped by my wife, but I always brushed it off. But when Lin Xin cried after being rejected, it got to me. I found myself unable to refuse her anymore. I won't deny it. I like her. Am I being too greedy, Xiao Yi? I can't let go of both of you. Lin Xin won't affect you. She'll listen to me. Xiao Yi, please, can we not divorce? Listening to his nonsensical words, I didn't know how to react. How dare he think I'd accept his disgusting ideas? So what if the little girl listens to him? I seriously want to rip his head open and see what's inside, wondering if he's been brainwashed all these years. Looks like after all these years, I still can't understand a person. Xiao Jinren, I suddenly don't understand you anymore. Maybe I just don't understand men. I coldly interrupted him. Stop making excuses for your cheating. I've always been one-hearted. You want to talk? Fine, but I'm not listening to this nonsense. I interrupted him indifferently. As for the money you've spent on Lin Xin, I've had someone investigate. The house will be reclaimed, and the rest, under 3 million, will be retrieved in full. Don't think you can cover for her. Until the divorce is finalized, you can't move a penny. Debt? Our family cash flow is fine. How could we be in debt? When it came to finances, he finally snapped out of his self-talk. Investment losses. Everything is legally traceable. The lawyer will provide the details. He suddenly laughed sarcastically. Looks like you've been planning this for a long time. You're so rational, so self-centered. I looked at the sarcasm in his eyes, and with his self-assessment ringing in my ears, my inner fury could no longer be contained. Yes, I'm self-centered, Xiao Jinren. For these 11 years, I've been loyal to you, and to this family. You ruined everything I carefully built. Do you know? I've seen your photos at the school anniversary, the ones she took of your profile. Seen you dress younger to match her. Seen your photos kissing, entering hotels, holding hands, and even followed you to the amusement park. I stood just a few meters away and cried. Do you understand? You're a beast. I never thought we'd come to this. I'm petty, Xiao Jinren. But I won't let you and her have it easy. Get out. I pulled the stunned Xiao Jinren up, and before he could react, pushed him out the door, then leaned against it and cried loudly, releasing my anger. I heard him, just a door away, muttering, I'm sorry, but what good is that? The lawyer began to act according to our plan, first addressing the lawsuit against Lin Chin. After submitting the misconduct evidence to a university, I waited for her punishment. After all, neither Xiao Jinren nor I are unknown figures. Our marriage breakdown spread across both the finance and tech circles, and his company's financing stalled. The notorious Lin Chin wouldn't last long in the circle. When I got a call from my parents, it was the first time I felt a bit scared after deciding on the divorce. After all, they loved him too much. They remembered his favorite foods, his little habits. Every time we went back to the hometown, they'd set a whole table of his favorites. They'd brag about how my son-in-law is dutiful, good to Xiao Yi, takes care of the family. Now, in this situation, I was afraid to face their disappointment. Mom, I picked up the phone, honestly not knowing what to say. Xiao Yi, have you had dinner? I've eaten. How about you guys? We've eaten too. Whatever happens, you have to take care of yourself. Do you want me and your dad to come over? My mom's voice wasn't as cheerful as usual. She didn't ask why I was getting a divorce, didn't try to reconcile, just a simple sentence, and I found myself tearing up again. I'm sorry, Mom, I've let you down. I didn't take care of my marriage well. You guys liked him so much, and now I've embarrassed you in front of relatives and neighbors. Sweetheart, you've done nothing wrong. It's him who's in the wrong. If he's not good, we can change him. It's no big deal. We like him because he was good to you. Now that you don't want him, he's nothing. What does face matter? Nothing is more important than my daughter. Xiao Yi, your dad's here, don't be afraid. Do what you want. Dad's firm words gave me peace for the first time in the past 6 months. Since I was young, I'd always been the perfect child, never letting them down. But this time, I was afraid of disappointing them. My parents were worried about me being alone, so they came to take care of me. It made me both awkward and warm at the same time. Later, I heard that Xiao Jinren and his parents contacted mine more than once, trying to persuade them not to make things too big, but my parents refused. They stood firmly by me and cared for me. The lawsuit process went smoothly, and Lin Chin returned the money as required. A university, after receiving the materials and investigating, fired Lin Chin, a once promising student whose future was now ruined. The day after the judgment, Lin Chin asked to meet me. She had never caused trouble in front of me or exposed her relationship with Xiao Jinren through any channels. I was curious, wondering what could make her go this far. When we met again, she no longer had the same energy. Seeing me, her eyes were full of anger and resentment. I just felt sorry for her. Are you happy now? I got expelled. I worked so hard to get into a university, and you ruined it. You ruined it yourself. I calmly spoke. I told you, I love him, and he loves me. What does it matter if you had me expelled? Xiao Jinren said he would help me. He said he would support me. You two were together for 11 years, but he says he's happy with me. Do you know? At first, I was prepared to stay quietly by his side, even if he didn't divorce you. But now you want to divorce. I really have to thank you. I was speechless, staring at the angry girl in front of me. I used to think she was smart, but now I saw her as just a foolish person, blinded by love or anger. Why come here to vent your frustration on me? So, you wanted to be a mistress all along? My words stopped her in her tracks. Her face flushed red, clearly out of words. We're not even divorced yet, and as his legitimate wife, I can still let him take a concubine. You can wait. I stood up to leave, not wanting to hear her nonsense. I immediately arranged for someone to go to her hometown and put up a banner. The next day, there were banners at her house and at the school where her parents worked, saying, Lin family parents are educators, but their daughter is a beautiful flower who seduces married men, intending to become a concubine. Now, she is helping her husband take a concubine. I heard that Lin's father lost his dignity at school, and when he got home, things were even worse. Furious, he had a heart attack and had to be rushed to the hospital. Lin Chin hurried home to face her parents' disappointment and blame, and the condemnation from relatives and neighbors. It quickly spread online, with an outpouring of criticism and insults. Meanwhile, my powerful lawyer successfully recovered the house and 3 million in cash. Because I had secured property preservation against Xiao Jinren, he couldn't help her. In the end, Lin Xin sold all her luxury items and borrowed money to scrape together 2 million. Xiao Jinren borrowed 1 million through other channels to pay it off, but of course, I kept evidence of that as his post-divorce debt. On Lin Xin's side, things were in chaos. On Xiao Jinran's side, it was even worse. Due to our divorce lawsuit, his company's financing stalled. He was reluctant to divorce because of the family debts, but couldn't prove I was deliberately hiding assets, so the divorce process kept dragging on. The two of them, once so happy, now no longer found joy in each other. Lin Xin blamed him for not caring about her. The promises to help with her studies went unfulfilled, and he wasn't even there when her father was hospitalized. She was now facing the destruction of her future, public disgrace, parental reproach, and online abuse. As for Xiao Jinren, he could no longer see the vivacity and joy in her. Instead, she had become a burden to him. Finally, under the pressure of his company's stalled financing, Xiao Jinren admitted to the family debt and agreed to my divorce terms, but with the condition that the company shares I held could only be sold to him. So, he took on tens of millions in debt and divorced. He thought he saved the company. But I had already used my own investment resources to interfere with his final round of funding, teaming up with other shareholders to push him out of the company. Once the financing was done, he was out. The day he left the company, I made a point to go see him. I watched him walk out of his office, carrying a cardboard box, leaving his own office, his workspace, and the battle he fought so hard for. My heart wasn't as relieved as I imagined it would be. On the day the company went public, when we rang the bell at Nasdaq, no one remembered Xiao Jinren as the founder. Maybe some remembered him, but no one would mention him again. He must have been watching from some unnoticed corner, seeing the company he meticulously built slip away from him. Once everything was over, I took a break and went to Africa, a place we had always planned to visit but never managed to. I saw the poor yet hopeful children of Africa, felt the shock of the wild animal migration. Standing on the vast, untouched grasslands, I completely let go of the 11 years of the past, both the good and the bad. 2 years later, I heard about Xiao Jinren at a technology forum. I heard he had started a new venture, but unfortunately, it wasn't going well. The product lacked competitiveness, and all the money he invested went to waste, leaving him in heavy debt. I ran into him again at an investment conference. He was looking for investment, while I was there as an investor. He was drinking with investors, wearing the suit I once bought for him. But now, it didn't fit him anymore, his thin body couldn't hold it up, and he looked completely destitute. At another table, I was surrounded by people, respectfully waiting for them to beg for investment, while I looked at him from a distance, like a stranger. I saw him holding his stomach, and I figured his stomach issues had flared up again. When he first started his venture, he drank too much and hurt his stomach. Later, as his company grew, he didn't need to drink so much anymore, and I helped him take care of his health. Now, I pitied the stomach he had once cared for. After the event, I saw him and Lin Xin getting into a taxi, her supporting him, and I couldn't help but think, they finally got what they deserved. After my vacation, I heard reports about them. Lin Xin's parents had retired early and moved, too embarrassed to stay in the same place. Lin Xin couldn't finish her studies but stayed by Xiao Jinran's side to help him with his new venture. Later, friends from the circle asked if I wanted to make things difficult for them again, but I declined. With the reputation of misappropriating company funds and the rapidly changing tech world, Xiao Jinren would never have a chance to rise again. He and Lin Xin were destined to walk down a road of poverty. They had reached this point, and that was enough. A hand reached over, gripping mine tightly, and a voice smiled. "What are you looking at?" I turned to face the man in the passenger seat, grasped his hand, fingers interlaced, smiling happily. "Looking at you." He smiled brightly, and Xiao Jinren was right. Young people really are full of life and excitement. Xiao Jinren blinked and saw Li Nuoyi, surrounded by a crowd. Her high-end outfit made her seem even more graceful. She was handling the big shots, talking about billion-dollar investment projects with ease. That was a level of the circle I would never be able to enter again. The two of them had clearly become people from two different worlds. It had been more than 2 years since I last saw him, the last time being at the company's IPO, where he was just a silent observer. Now, when I saw him again, he was wearing the same suit from 3 years ago. He bitterly smiled, looking away, rushing to find someone to invest in his new company. He thought his new company would be successful, but now it was struggling without resources or innovative products, and it wouldn't last more than a month without investment. The investors who once ignored him were now his lifeline, and he drank glass after glass in hopes of securing a few $100,000 in funding. Mr. Xiao, if you had kept up with your previous company, I would have invested 10 million, but now, with New Cheng, forget it, Mr. Li. I can make New Cheng as big as I made Jinuo. Your investment will pay off, he pleaded, but Mr. Li shook his head and walked away. Mr. Xiao, the investment circle doesn't believe in New Cheng anymore. You should start thinking about your next move. Another person in the investment circle patted his shoulder and kindly advised him. He nodded in acknowledgement, but deep down, he knew the reality. It was the end of the line. As the event ended, Xiao Jinren, in pain from his stomach issues, stumbled to the bathroom. He couldn't hold back the discomfort, but when he heard a conversation outside, he couldn't help but listen. Xiao Jinren is really pitiful now. After being kicked out of Jinuo, he really can't come back. The new company's product is no good, and his reputation is so bad in the tech world. Who's going to invest in him? He brought this on himself. Li Nuoyi was so amazing. He dared to cheat, but now he's still able to show his face in the circle because people are showing him mercy. Every successful man has his bad side, but that's only if his wife can control him. This one, he's just out of his depth. Looks like Mr. Lin knows a thing or two, huh? Ha ha ha. The bathroom conversation shifted away from the point, but Xiao Jinren had already gotten used to being talked about. The people who had been gossiping saw his pale face when they left, but instead of apologizing like they would have 3 years ago, they just smiled and walked away. When Xiao Jinren returned to the hall, it was empty. He pressed his stomach, still aching, and walked down the stairs. Lin Xin was waiting in the lobby, and when she saw him, she hurried over. Did you find any investors? No, why not? The company's barely holding on, and we're out of money. How did you let Li Nuoyi outsmart you and kick you out of the company? We were about to go public. How did it get this bad? Lin Xin didn't notice Xiao Jinren's discomfort as she continued to complain. The difference between where they were now and where they were before had already stripped away any glamour. Xiao Jinren, my stomach hurts. I remembered back when we first started Jinuo, I'd be at those drinking parties too, but Xiao Yi would always be there for me, bringing medicine or food to take care of my stomach. Later, when the company stabilized, I found an excellent traditional Chinese doctor to help me, even making medicine for me. Your stomach's always been bad. Take some painkillers later. Now Lin Xin only suggested painkillers, where before she would have taken more care. They both got in a taxi, and Xiao Jinren had already sold his car to cover expenses. As they were getting in, he saw Li Nuoyi sitting in the lobby, accompanied by a new man. She looked at him with a light in her eyes, the same way she used to look at him. Was it jealousy from seeing that, or the mixed scent of sweat and humidity in the taxi, or the pain in his stomach? But he felt nauseous. Seeing Xiao Jinren's distressed expression, the driver yelled out, "Don't throw up in here, it'll cost extra." Lin Xin quickly pulled out a plastic bag from her purse and handed it to him. Xiao Jinren glanced at the plastic bag and then at Lin Xin, who was frowning and impatient. He tried to suppress the nausea, turning his head toward the window, holding the plastic bag tightly in his hand, veins showing. The driver muttered under his breath, "I thought the people who came out of here were all big bosses and rich people." The rain started to fall outside. The sound of raindrops hitting the window was loud. Lin Xin kept complaining, "It's been 2 years, and the company's in massive debt. I thought you could create another Jinuo, but now it's nothing. We're so poor, we could have invested in something else or bought property with that money. Now we have nothing. I haven't bought clothes in almost 2 years. I have to count every penny for food and clothes. I'm only in my 20s. Her soft complaints and whimpers made the already cramped space even more suffocating. "Didn't you choose this path yourself? You came after me first, don't you remember?" This wasn't the first time she'd complained like this. In the past, Xiao Jinren would silently endure, but this time, he couldn't take it anymore. He snapped, his voice dark, full of sarcasm and anger, making Lin Xin shiver. After a long while, Xiao Jinren turned his gaze back to the window. How did he end up in this situation? Xiao Jinren clenched his right hand tightly and slammed it down onto the seat next to him, unable to release the frustration in his heart. He had been with Li Nuoyi for 11 years, and it all started with that first glance in college, when the girl who saw him make a fool of himself entered his heart. Her confidence and elegance captured all of his attention, but deep inside, he had a sense of inferiority that even he hadn't realized. So, even though he liked her, he waited for her to make the first move, ensuring her full commitment before confessing his feelings. Lee Nuo-yi was exceptional, coming from a wealthy family. She helped him, a small town boy, experience many firsts, taught him a lot, and opened doors to a higher world. She managed their lives so well that he could focus on his career without any worries. Eventually, Jinuo was a success, but with success, he became arrogant. Lin Shin appeared at the peak of his success, and her admiration, her dependence on him, satisfied his masculinity in ways Lee Nuo-yi never had. For a moment, he felt his big man ego was fulfilled. He had never thought of divorcing, but couldn't resist the innocent eyes of Lin Shin, thinking that with Lee Nuo-yi at home, he could relax and find comfort with Lin Shin. But he forgot that Lee Nuo-yi was never someone who would tolerate being taken for granted. In the end, it wasn't that Lee Nuo-yi couldn't live without him, but that without Lee Nuo-yi, Xiao Jinren was nothing. When he was kicked out of Jinuo Tech, Lee Nuo-yi didn't completely shut him out. The money from selling his shares was enough to live a humble life, but the bitterness in his heart, and Lin Shin's constant hints, pushed him to start a new business. Unfortunately, this time, without the novelty, connections, or resources he once had, and with his reputation tainted by affairs and financial misconduct, he couldn't stand up again. Exhausted, the two of them went upstairs, opened the door, and saw the disarray in the room. Lin Shin was never good at managing the household. Before, Xiao Jinren, thinking she was young, would take the time to clean up. But today, he felt completely drained. He walked past the takeaway trash piled on the coffee table and ignored the clothes scattered on the sofa, heading slowly toward the bedroom. He lay on the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. Lin Shin cautiously approached, afraid of the mood Xiao Jinren was in today. Is your stomach still hurting? Do you want to take some painkillers? Did you pick up the results from the last checkup? He couldn't ignore the stomach pain anymore, and the results from the last exam had slipped his mind with all the busyness. I forgot. I'll go pick it up tomorrow. I've just been so busy, handling the company and the household. Xiao Jinren closed his eyes, no longer listening to Lin Shin's words, and muttered, I'll go by myself. When Xiao Jinren saw the results of his late-stage stomach cancer, he wasn't too shocked. He almost felt a sense of finality. The doctor was still talking, but his mind had already wandered. Maybe this was his punishment. He sat in the hospital lobby, watching the people come and go, his mind torn between the company's financial strain and where he could find the money to save himself. He longed for life more than ever. Then, something suddenly crossed his mind. He was thankful for how Lee Nuo-yi had cared for him. He remembered how he had opposed her buying the expensive insurance policies, but now, those policies had become his lifeline. Now, unable to manage the company, Nu Cheng had to be sold before it collapsed. Though it wouldn't cover all the debts, it was necessary to cut his losses. Xiao Jinren started planning, knowing this time, he had to be practical. Lin Shin didn't know about the sale of the company until after it happened. She had been dreaming of being a rich wife, holding onto the illusion of returning to the luxurious life, and that dream had kept her by Xiao Jinren's side for the past 2 years. But with the dream shattered, she went mad. Xiao Jinren, you bastard. You promised me a good life. You sold the company behind my back. What are you trying to do? I've been through so much with you. Are you even a man? You've ruined me. Xiao Jinren. Looking at the woman crying and making a scene, Xiao Jinren could only feel regret. I have late-stage stomach cancer. Those words stopped Lin Shin's outburst. I've made a plan. The company can't support itself anymore. We have to cut our losses. After selling it, there will still be some debt, but the house and my insurance can pay most of it off. As for my illness, the insurance will cover it. So, we can find regular jobs and live. Sell the house? I don't agree. Find the insurance contract I gave you before. I need to calculate things. Xiao Jinren glanced at Lin Shin, continuing, the house was bought before we got married. Whether to sell it or not is my decision. But the debt is from after we got married, so you have to listen to me. If you don't, you'll have to take half the debt and leave. Lin Shin froze, clearly hit hard. Xiao Jinren waited, giving her time to process. Insurance? What insurance? After sitting there for a long time, Lin Shin came to her senses, and could only comply. It's the insurance I had you save for every year. Lee Nuo-yi researched it for a long time, finding the best policy for businesspeople like us. Even though it cost tens of thousands a year, it's what will save me now. Looking at Lin Chin's vacant, confused expression, Xiao Jinren had a bad feeling. Please don't tell me you haven't been saving it. Lin Chin lowered her head, her voice shaky and tearful. I don't understand these things. I just thought tens of thousands a year was too expensive. I didn't know. At that moment, Xiao Jinran's anger turned into despair. He didn't even have the energy to ask where the money had gone. He wished everything was a dream, that when he woke up, he'd be back 3 years ago, keeping his distance from Lin Chin, protecting the home he had with Li Nuoyi. But unfortunately, there was no way to turn back. Every step had consequences. Without the expensive medical treatments, Xiao Jinren couldn't hold on for much longer and passed away a year later. Before his death, Lin Chin unwillingly took care of him, holding his vomit, staying awake day and night. At only in her 20s, she had lost her youthful appearance. It wasn't about deep feelings, it was about the fear that without Xiao Jinren, she would have to carry half the debt herself. Luckily, Xiao Jinren had planned for Lin Chin. He sold the house and his private investments, clearing most of the debt, leaving Lin Chin with barely anything. Late at night, in a small rented room, Lin Chin sat on the narrow bed. One moment, she thought about the bright future she once had, the glamorous life of a golden collar. The next moment, she dreamt of becoming a rich wife, living happily with Xiao Jinren. But the reality was she had no home to return to, no one to rely on, and her odd jobs were few and far between. Her former co-workers had distanced themselves from her. At an age when she should be blooming like a flower, she was now lost, sometimes filled with resentment, other times blank and empty.